There is a moment in every person's life when they suddenly realize how easily emotions take control, how a single word can shake the mind, how a small problem can escalate into chaos, how anger rises before you even notice it, how fear appears without invitation, how stress consumes entire days without mercy. And yet, there is also a moment when you wonder, what would my life look like if emotions no longer ruled me? What if I could respond instead of react? What if calm became my natural state? Tonight, let me take you into the heart of that question. A journey that weaves ancient wisdom, inner stillness, and the quiet science of the mind. A journey that reveals how your emotions can become allies instead of enemies. A journey into a truth the Buddha whispered long ago. The mind is everything. What you think you become. The problem is not emotion itself. The problem is the way we attach to it, the way we identify with it, the way we let it define us. The moment when you reclaim yourself, pause before you speak, pause before you argue, pause before you judge, pause before you assume. In the pause, clarity rises. In the pause, perspective shifts. In the pause, you see the truth instead of the story your mind is creating. Most emotional suffering is not caused by the event itself. It is caused by the story the mind tells about the event. And stories change when you pause long enough to question them. Now, let's turn to self-awareness, the quiet mirror inside you. Self-awareness is noticing the patterns that shape your life, the triggers that repeat, the reactions you regret, the thoughts that loop, the emotions that hijack your peace. When you observe these patterns without judgment, they lose their authority. What you can see, you can change. What you can understand, you can redirect. Self-awareness is not about fixing yourself. It is about understanding yourself so deeply that transformation becomes natural. Let's explore gratitude. Gratitude softens the mind. It opens the heart. It breaks the cycle of seeking. It rewires the brain toward abundance. It shifts your attention from what is missing to what is present. When emotion overwhelms you, gratitude anchors you. It reminds you that beauty still exists, that peace is still available, that you are still alive in a world full of possibility. Gratitude is not ignoring pain. It is expanding your perspective, so pain does not consume everything. Now let's talk about letting go. Letting go does not mean pushing things away. It means allowing life to move, allowing yourself to shift, allowing emotions to flow. Holding on is resistance. Letting go is wisdom. What you cling to controls you. What you release transforms you. Letting go of expectations. Letting go of needing to be right. Letting go of grudges. Letting go of old stories. letting go of the idea that life must unfold in a certain way. Life is fluid. Suffering begins when you try to make it solid. Let's return to simplicity. Simplicity is clarity. Simplicity is freedom. Simplicity is an unburdened mind. A cluttered mind cannot be peaceful. A simple mind can face anything. Remove what drains you. Remove what confuses you. Remove obligations that empty you. Remove expectations that imprison you. What remains will be enough. What remains will be peaceful. Now let's talk about suffering. The Buddha said, suffering arises from wanting things to be different than they are. When you resist reality, you suffer. When you accept reality, you grow. Acceptance is not surrender. Acceptance is clarity. Acceptance is facing what is so you can respond with wisdom. But there is something deeper. Loving kindness. Loving kindness is wishing well for yourself and for others. It turns bitterness into softness. It turns fear into compassion. It turns separation into connection. And now, the final step, embracing change. Change is the one constant. Everything shifts. Everything transforms. Everything rises and falls. When you fight change, you suffer. When you embrace change, you evolve. This is emotional mastery, not avoiding emotions, not suppressing them, but understanding their nature so deeply that they cannot drown you. You learn to walk with emotion instead of against it, to breathe through it instead of fight it, to observe it instead of obey it. Let me leave you with one final image. Imagine you are standing on top of a mountain at dawn. The sky is still, the air is cool, light begins to rise over the horizon. Your mind is open, your heart is soft, your breath is steady. You are no longer controlled by emotions. You are aware of them. You honor them. You let them pass like clouds across the sky. And in that quiet space, a new question appears. If my mind became this calm every day, how much of my life would transform? Let the answer unfold slowly. Let it come naturally. Let it guide you into tomorrow. Tonight, rest in the awareness that you are learning mastery. You are learning presence. You are learning peace. And your emotions, they are no longer storms. They are teachers. But there is a way out, a way to walk through storms without being shattered, a way to breathe through uncertainty with grace, a way to hold your inner peace even when the world around you trembles. Before we go deeper, breathe slowly. Let the mind soften. Let the body loosen. Let your attention sink inward. Good. Now imagine this. You are walking through a crowded marketplace. People moving fast, voices rising, colors blending, noise swirling around. Suddenly someone bumps into you. A harsh word, a cold glare. Your heart tenses. Heat rises, thoughts sharpen. You feel the impulse to snap. This is what most people call emotion. But actually, this is reactivity. This is the chain that forms when mindlessness meets habit. Now imagine the same moment again. But this time, you pause. You take a breath. You step back internally. You observe the heat rising without obeying it. You watch the thought forming without believing it. You see the reaction coming, but choose not to feed it. This single pause is the difference between chaos and mastery, between suffering and wisdom, between losing yourself and returning to yourself. What separates these two experiences? Awareness. That's the first secret. Awareness transforms emotion from a storm into a passing cloud. But awareness is only the beginning. There is something deeper waiting beneath the noise of your mind. A state of clarity you may have forgotten. A steadiness you once had as a child before the world layered its concerns upon you. The goal tonight is not just to calm your emotions. The goal is to understand them so deeply that they no longer control you. The goal is to build an inner foundation so steady that your peace becomes unshakable. Let's begin. Imagine your mind as a lake. When emotions take over, the surface trembles, waves crash, reflections break apart. Nothing is clear, but the lake itself was never the problem. The wind was. Your thoughts are the wind. Your feelings are the waves. But you are the water. And water always returns to stillness when the wind settles. The first step is to see emotions as temporary, not permanent, not identities, not definitions, temporary visitors, just like storms, just like passing seasons, just like the flicker of a candle in the wind. When you truly see, this half of your suffering dissolves. But we will go further. Let's go to the root. Every emotion follows the same pattern: a trigger, a perception, a meaning you assign to it, and a reaction that follows. If you change the meaning, the reaction changes. If you change the reaction, the whole pattern dissolves. This is emotional mastery. Not suppression, not denial, not fighting, but understanding. The Buddha taught that emotions arise from three habits: clinging, aversion, and ignorance, holding too tightly, pushing too harshly, or simply not seeing clearly. Let's walk through each with a story. A monk once carried a heavy bucket of water up a mountain. Halfway up he slipped. Water spilled. The bucket cracked. He cursed the bucket. He blamed the path. He blamed his tired legs. The master, watching him, asked, "Is the bucket your burden, or is your mind?" Most of us carry emotional buckets like this monk. Old resentments, unspoken pains, unresolved memories, habits of reacting, the fear of being misunderstood. the desire to control what can't be controlled. These buckets distort how we experience life. When we cling to them, everything feels heavy. When we release them, the path changes beneath our feet. But how do we release them? We begin with mindfulness. Not the modern buzzword, not the casual concept, but the ancient luminous awareness of the present moment. Mindfulness means seeing your thoughts without becoming them, feeling your emotions without drowning in them, observing your reactions without letting them lead. It is the art of stepping back without withdrawing, the art of staying present without clinging, the art of noticing without judgment. To practice this, let's do a simple exercise. Place your attention on your breath, not to control it, not to change it, just to witness. Watch the inhale rise. Watch the exhale fall. Stay with it. Now observe a thought. Any thought. See it appear. Notice its shape. Notice its emotion. And then let it pass. Your mind is not a cage for thoughts. It is a sky. Thoughts are clouds drifting across it, some dark, some bright, all temporary. This is mindfulness, returning again and again to the present, as gently as you might guide a child home. But mindfulness alone does not complete the journey. You also need compassion. Compassion for others, yes, but especially for yourself. Self-compassion is recognizing that you are human, that you are learning, that you are allowed to make mistakes, that you do not need to punish yourself for emotions you never asked for. When you stop fighting your inner world, it starts to heal. When you stop judging your emotions, they lose their power over you. When you give yourself kindness, your heart becomes a place you can actually rest. Let me tell you a story. There was once a young woman who carried anger like fire in her chest. Every conversation felt dangerous. Every disagreement felt like a threat. She reacted quickly, harshly, without thinking. One day her teacher said, "Hold this cup of hot water." She held it. It burned. She winced. She asked, "Why are you giving me this?" He replied, "This is your anger. You hold it tightly. It burns only you." She realized then that emotion itself was not the enemy. How she held it was. Anger is heat. Fear is tension. Sadness is weight. Anxiety is movement. But none of these are permanent. None define you. None are your identity. When you loosen your grip, everything softens. But to loosen your grip, you must understand the principle of non-attachment. Non-attachment does not mean indifference. It does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop clinging. You can love without fear. You can give without expectation. You can feel without drowning. You can experience without needing everything to align with your desires. Non-attachment is the freedom to let life move without letting it break you. Let's explore how this works in real life. When someone speaks harshly to you, notice the space before your reaction. That space is your freedom. When someone disappoints you, observe the expectation that caused the pain. Expectation is the seed of suffering. When a situation goes wrong, watch how your mind jumps to control. Control is the illusion that tightens suffering. When you want something intensely, ask yourself, do I want this because it brings joy or because it fills a fear? Most desires are disguised fears. Fear of being alone, fear of being overlooked, fear of not being enough. When you see the fear clearly, the desire loses its grip. This is liberation. Now let's go deeper into the breath. Breath is the bridge between body and mind. When breath is calm, the mind follows. When breath is chaotic, emotions rise. A simple technique. Inhale for 4, hold for 7, exhale for 8. This lengthens the nervous system response. It shifts you from fight or flight into peace. It signals safety to your body. It grounds you into presence. But breath does something more profound. It creates space. Space between you and your reaction. Space between emotion and action. Space where wisdom can enter. When there is space, transformation begins. Let's talk about pausing, the art of stopping before reacting.